There comes a moment in life, quiet, unannounced, when the noise outside begins to feel like a foreign language. A moment when the laughter you once chased feels hollow. A moment when even your own name, spoken by others, seems like an echo in a cave too deep to care about. That moment is not your destruction. It's your beginning. And it always starts with the same decision. You stop being available. Not out of arrogance, not out of revenge, not even out of exhaustion, but out of the calm and unshakable realization that your presence is no longer a gift for everyone to take freely. We, the ones who carry a storm in our souls and silence in our eyes, know this truth well. The world will consume everything you offer, so long as you keep offering. It will drink from your well until it dries, then curse the dust you leave behind. But there's a cure, a sharp one, a bitter one, but a cure nonetheless. Withdrawal. The Stoics called it ataraxia, a state of serene calmness, a fortress of internal peace not built by walls, but by will. And will, unlike stone, does not erode. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think, or do, only what you do." We must ask, why does everything begin to change when we stop being available? Because your availability is not neutral. It is currency. Time, energy, attention, these are not resources. These are your life bleeding, second by second. When you say yes to someone else, what are you saying no to? Maybe your peace. Maybe your growth. Maybe your solitude, the very thing from which all strength is born. Part 1. The weight of being always on. The disease of our age is not madness. It is hyper-availability. A phone vibrates and we jump. A message appears and we reply within seconds. A request is made and we bend. Bend again. Bend more. Until the posture becomes permanent and we forget what standing tall ever felt like. Seneca, the Roman Stoic, warned us, "Life is not short. We make it short by wasting it." And oh, how willingly we waste it. But let's not pretend this is just about phones or jobs or people needing favors. No, this disease runs deeper. It is rooted in fear. Fear of disappointing others. Fear of being unloved. Fear of being forgotten. So we say yes. We stay available. We stretch our soul like an old threadbare cloth, and then we wonder why we feel torn. Let us remember, the Stoic path is not about pleasing others. It is about obeying nature's law, that a thing must act according to its purpose, and your purpose is not to be someone else's emotional sponge. Your purpose is to master yourself. Epictetus declared, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Every time we say yes out of guilt, out of fear, out of the compulsion to be liked, we give away our throne. We become slaves. But the sovereign path begins the moment we say, with calm and clarity, no. Part 2. The reclamation of time. To reclaim your time is to reclaim your life, not in some motivational quote pinned to a wall, not in a dopamine-fueled productivity hack, but in the deepest, most sacred way. To remember that your time is your soul being poured into the world. We think we're being kind when we say yes to everyone. But are we? Can we call it kindness when it comes at the cost of your own stability? The Stoics didn't see time as something to spend. They saw it as something to guard, like a soldier guards the gates of a kingdom. Aurelius again wrote, "If you seek tranquility, do less, or do what's essential," which brings a double satisfaction to do less better. But how? How do we begin to step away from the endless beckoning of the world? We begin by recognizing this. Not everyone deserves your response. Not every argument needs your reply. Not every event needs your attendance. Not every friendship deserves to continue. Because silence is not absence. Silence is power. Part 3. The Sacred Art of No. No is not a rejection of others. It is a recognition of yourself. It is the sword of the Stoic, not drawn in violence, but held with honor. It is how we carve space for inner life, space to sit with discomfort, space to build endurance, space to choose reaction over impulse. In a world that demands constant affirmation, no is sacred. Most people, however, are terrified of this word. And why wouldn't they be? They've built their identities around being liked, needed, praised. But to the Stoic, being liked is a trap, a seductive one. The applause of the mob is fickle. It inflates the ego and weakens the soul. Instead, we pursue a different virtue: indifference to external validation. Don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will. Then your life will flow well. Let them think what they want. Let them call you cold, distant, selfish. It is better to be misunderstood and strong than understood and hollow. Part 4. When you become unreachable. Here is what no one tells you. When you stop being available, you become mysterious, and mystery is magnetic. You no longer react like a machine. You respond like a master. You no longer rush to reply. You consider your words like a sculptor considers stone. You become different, not in appearance, in essence, and people feel it. They can't quite describe it, but they know something has shifted. You have become untouchable, not in arrogance, but in elevation. You have stepped outside the arena of constant noise and found the echo chamber of your soul. Part 5. The Quiet Revolution of Solitude. There is a kind of solitude that is not empty, not lonely, not cold. It is sacred. It is the birthplace of power. Seneca once wrote, "I withdraw not only from men, but from affairs, especially my own. I am attending to nothing but myself." These words are not an escape. They are an evolution. To withdraw from the world, not with hatred, but with higher purpose, is to begin the inward journey most are too afraid to take. Because when the crowd leaves, you're left with silence. And when silence stays, it reveals who you really are. Most run from this. We walk into it. We begin to see that being unavailable is not rejection, it's refinement. It is the melting away of all that is false, all that is borrowed, all that was built to impress others but never meant to sustain the self. And in this solitude, something awakens. A stillness that is not weak, a clarity that does not need approval, a self that is no longer for sale. Part 6. The death of people-pleasing. The old self dies slowly. It doesn't vanish in a day. It dies in stages as you begin to say no more often than yes. As you stop apologizing for setting boundaries. As you no longer feel the need to explain your silence. This is the death of the nice person. The person who smiled through disrespect. Who gave when it hurt. Who tried to be everything for everyone until there was nothing left of them. We grieve that version of ourselves, yes, but we do not resurrect it. Because we know now people-pleasing is soul suicide. Epictetus reminds us, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. And we accept that, because we are no longer available to the world's expectations, only to our purpose. And so we become something else, someone else. Not agreeable, not comfortable, but unshakably real. Part 7. The scarcity principle of presence. When your availability decreases, your presence becomes rare. And rarity creates value. It's basic economics, but applied to the soul. The more people can reach you, pull you, drain you, the less they value what you offer. But when you become intentional with your presence, when your attention becomes a deliberate choice, not an automatic response, then the world sees you differently. And not just the world, you see yourself differently. You begin to feel the shift. From reactive to proactive. From scattered to focused. From desperate to deliberate. This is the Stoic mind taking shape. Free, not because it has no chains, but because it refuses to wear them. Part 8. The emotional alchemy of detachment. Detachment is not indifference, it's mastery. The Stoics never asked us to not feel. They asked us to not be enslaved by what we feel. Detachment is choosing how you respond, not because you are cold, but because you are clear. Clarity is the true luxury of this world, and it begins with letting go of the constant need to react, respond, or rescue. You are not the emergency service for every panic call of those who cannot manage their own chaos. You are not a battery to be drained for temporary warmth. When you stop being available to emotional manipulation, you become the master of your inner life. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Part 9. The mirror of self. When you are no longer always there for others, you begin to be fully there for yourself. You start to notice your breath, your thoughts, the subtle ways you abandon yourself just to be accepted. And in noticing, you begin to reclaim what was always yours, your own loyalty. You begin to ask different questions. What do I truly want? What am I avoiding in myself when I stay too available to others? Who am I trying to impress and why? What would happen if I chose me? These are dangerous questions because they do not lead to comfort. They lead to awakening. And awakening always begins with a price. That price is solitude.
Part 10. The solitude that builds empires. Stoicism never preached isolation, but it demanded solitude. The kind of solitude where your thoughts are louder than notifications, where your attention belongs to no one but your principles, where your mind is no longer hijacked by other people's expectations. It is here, in the fires of solitude, that greatness is forged. Cato walked alone in the Roman Senate, unmoved by corruption. Epictetus, born a slave, became the voice of inner freedom. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of the known world, ruled not just nations, but his own mind. Their power came not from the world, it came from their detachment from it. So we do not fear being unavailable. We embrace it as the doorway to strength. Part 11. The boundary is the weapon. Let them wonder why you stopped responding. Let them assume what they will. Because you do not owe your energy to those who have not earned your presence. Let that sink in. Your attention is sacred. Your time is currency. Your focus is fuel. And the world is full of beggars dressed as kings, demanding your energy while offering nothing but chaos in return. So let the boundary be your weapon. But not a weapon of war, a weapon of wisdom. A quiet, unshakable line drawn not with hate, but with love for your future self. Seneca said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Welcome those whom you can improve." That's not cruelty. That's clarity. Part 13. The power of emotional minimalism. Minimalism is not just about objects. It's about emotions. It's about cutting away the noise of needing to be everywhere for everyone at all times. It's about choosing what matters. We don't chase drama. We don't feed gossip. We don't play savior. We preserve our strength. Because there will come a day, a storm, a loss, a crisis, when the strength you save today will be the strength you will need tomorrow. So when others mock your silence, call it distance, misread it as arrogance. You will smile, not out of pride, but out of peace. Because you know what they do not, that still waters run deep, and your silence is not absence, it's discipline. Part 14. When respect begins to replace approval. There's a strange silence that follows after you stop being available. At first, it feels like abandonment, but it's not. It's realignment. People start to fall off, not because they were evil, but because they were benefiting from your lack of boundaries. And now that the well is dry, they leave thirsty. Let them. Because in their place, something else emerges. Respect. Not the loud, performative kind, but the quiet kind. The kind where others step carefully around your time. The kind where your name is no longer dragged into every petty drama. The kind where people speak less, but listen more when you do talk. Because now you've created value. Through scarcity. Through principle. Through restraint. You no longer chase being liked. You've outgrown it. Now you are respected. And for those who are still uncomfortable with your boundaries, that respect comes cloaked in fear.
Part 14. The grief of growth. Growth is not a celebration. It is a grief. Because in choosing to rise, you will lose. You will lose people who only stayed when you were small. You will lose the comfort of being needed. You will lose the illusion that being everything to everyone is noble. But what you gain is unshakable clarity. And that clarity is brutal.
It shows you who used you, who manipulated your kindness, who only showed up when you were available, soft, and self-sacrificing. And that hurts. But do not run from this pain. Embrace it, because this is the price of being born again, not as a new person, but as your true self. As the Stoic Musonius Rufus said, "No man is free who is a slave to his body and its pleasures. Likewise, no soul is free who is addicted to being needed." Freedom is cold at first, but then it becomes your fire. Part 15. The birth of a new gravity. Here's the paradox. When you stop being available to everyone, your presence becomes magnetic. People begin to orbit you, not because you're trying to attract them, but because you've cultivated something rare. Stillness. Stillness in speech. Stillness in reaction. Stillness in soul. You no longer respond to every insult. You no longer reply to every message. You no longer dance to the rhythm of others' emotions. And so, you stand out. Not loud, but undeniable. You've become a center of gravity. And not everyone can handle gravity. Some are too light, too scattered, too unrooted to be near someone who has chosen depth. Let them float away. You are not meant to carry what refuses to be anchored. Part 16. The deep psychology of detachment. To detach does not mean to not love. It means to love without ownership. To give without losing yourself. To be present without being consumed. Carl Jung warned, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. And so they cling to others, to noise, to drama, to distraction. But the Stoic faces the soul, alone and unflinching. Detachment is not numbness. It is purity of intent. It is action without dependence. It is love without addiction. It is strength without the need to dominate or prove. You no longer perform. You no longer beg. You no longer bend. You stand. And that is terrifying to those who need you pliable to survive.
Part 17. What happens when you become emotionally sovereign? Emotional sovereignty is the rarest freedom. It means you no longer seek closure from those who wronged you. No longer chase people who choose to misunderstand you. No longer explain yourself to those who haven't earned your vulnerability. You begin to move differently, not faster, but with intention. You walk into rooms like a silent storm, not loud, not boastful, but with a presence that shifts the air. Because you no longer need to be seen. You've seen yourself. That's enough. And when others sense that, they don't know what to do with you, because emotional sovereignty cannot be manipulated, and that makes you dangerous. But it also makes you free. As Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. And so, we become. Part 18. Becoming the Stoic that walks alone. There will be days when the silence is deafening, when the solitude feels like exile, when the old you, needy, reactive, always available, tries to rise again. Ignore him. That version of you was dying every day under the weight of false obligations. Now, you walk alone. Not as punishment, but as practice. The Stoic does not avoid society, but he is never owned by it. You can smile in company. You can dine with kings. You can sit in a crowd. But inside, you remain untouched. Because you carry your fortress within you. A fortress built of silence, built of self-control, built of unavailability to what does not serve the soul. Part 19. The final victory, when they no longer expect you to return. The last stage of transformation is this. They stop waiting for you to come back. The old friends, the toxic relationships, the drama-filled circles. They stop calling, stop reaching, stop expecting the old version of you to appear and fix everything. You have outgrown the costume, and once they realize it's not a phase, but your new form, they leave you alone. This is not abandonment. It is graduation, and in that silence, there is only one voice left, yours, and that is where true Stoicism begins. Not in books, not in quotes, not in debates, but in the unshakable stillness of a soul that no longer trades peace for attention. Final reflections. The fire within. Let us remember as we close, when you stop being available to the world's chaos, you become available to the fire within. That fire is your clarity. That fire is your virtue. That fire is your fate. Carl Jung knew this when he said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart." The Stoics knew this when they chose hardship over comfort, discipline over drama, silence over spectacle. And now, we know it too. So we walk this path not to be liked, not to be praised, not even to be understood, but to be true. True to our values, true to our time, true to our inner law. We are no longer available because we are no longer lost. And now, everything changes. I hope this video is helpful for you, so please do subscribe our channel to connect with us. Thank you for watching.